Namaskar. Did education in colonial India played a greater role to facilitate individual mobility or to promote group solidarity? In other words, did education in colonial India raise individual consciousness or strengthen group identity? This paper seeks to understand did education in colonial India played a greater role to facilitate individual mobility or to promote group solidarity. In other words, did education in colonial India raised individual consciousness or strengthen group identity? The British Indian education is conceived in India as an act of securing and consolidating power by the introduction of the complete system of education. The British sidelined indigenous education, which was marked by diversity. Certificates and exams became a guarantee for high ability and valuable attainments. The realignment of education brought consent to the British rule, which the military power could not have achieved. The Indian subjects were informed that colonial education aimed at bringing modernity among the natives, but in the garb of bringing modernity, it brought a culture of certificates, marks, and medals, which became the prized possessions of the haves. In 1757, when the East India Company started its political career in India, it had its own traditional system of imparting education to the students. Initially, the East India Company had no plan to impose a westernized system of education on its Indian subjects. Robert Clive too maintained the view that there should be no interference in the existing system of education. Men like Warren Hastings, Jonathan Duncan, Mount Stuart Elphinstone, Mr. Fraser, and Sir William Jones gave encouragement to the Orientalists' studies. However, the early policy of encouraging Oriental education was soon questioned in England. Both the Anglicists and the Orientalists factions were equally complicit with the project of domination. The British Indian education had been conceived in India as a part and parcel of the act of securing and consolidating power. Education was one such institution which could lead to the transformation in society. However, this is not to suggest that there was no educational system in pre-colonial India, but one needs to keep in mind that it was not a centralized or homogeneous apparatus of the education. Indigenous system of education comprised a vast network of pathshalas and maktabs for elementary education, tolls, agraharaj and madrasas for higher learning, Arabic, Persian, Bengali and literature, and the provisions of domestic instruction for many boys and especially girls by their parents, relatives or privately engaged tutors. Pormes Acharya's study of Bengal showed that pathshalas were of the exclusive status of Brahmin society. In fact, Satish Chandra Mitra in his book Jaiswar Khulna Itihas states that Muslims won recognition for being efficient pathshala teachers by end of the Pathan era. The Hunter Commission clearly articulates that if any institution or teacher wants to teach or instruct a student in religious matters, they can do separately, but it could not be a part of school curriculum. Assistants were recommended to schools and orphanages in which poor children were taught reading, writing and counting with or without manual work. A special attention in moral education was also emphasized. The Hunter Commission aimed at giving a good moral character and a strong physical qualities to students. We therefore recommend that physical development be promoted by the encouragement of native games, gymnastics, school drills and other exercises suited to the circumstances of each class of school. Hunter because they thought that a sense of right and wrong should prevail among the students. When a boy knows and keeps his proper place in the school, he will be in some degree trained to keep in the world also. Moral deterioration in Indian school boys can lead to departure from the gentle and respectful manner of the old times. At the heart of the colonial enterprise was an adult-child relationship. The colonizer took the role of the adult and the native became the child. The state's role in this vision was that of a protector of the ignorant masses who personified the ascetic mind portrayed portrayed by James Mill in his popular History of British India case study. The Central Hindu School and the R.A. Mahila College. To maintain the impact of various reports, we can take the case study of two educational institutions which started within 3 decades, namely the Central Hindu College founded in 1898 and the R.A. Mahila School founded in 1926. These two institutions are especially dealt with because these two institutions were following the parameters set up by the colonial state, but at the same time they were facing colonial domination. In fact, there was not one single system of education for the different strata of rural people, but two distinct systems to suit broadly the two main classes of conflicting interests: the landlords, the leisured class or zamindar, and their associates on the other hand, and the rest of working people on the other. The zamindar tried to educate their children at home. At the same time, the rayas and the petty traders sent their children to the sent traders sent their children to the Pathshala. W. Adam point out that in Bengal and Bihar there was on an average village school for 63 children of school going age. We can see a shift among the trends followed by the indigenous school. The maktabs, however, retain their religious character. In fact,